up, footy fans? Welcome back to Pommy and Oz. The pre-season is heating up and we're here with Game 2 or /1, depending on how you watch them, as there was an absolute belter happening over in Fremantle. The Indigenous All Stars brought their 10-year spell away from the game to return to play the Fremantle Dockers. And this wasn't any old hit out, it was a celebration of culture, community and cracking football. And let's be honest, the Indigenous All Stars did put on a show. It does showcase what is great about this game. It does bring us together. They took the game by the scruff of the neck, running rings around Fremantle and ending up 43-point winners. The Dockers looked a little, well, let's just say it was pre-season cobweb central. They did have some significant outs and some of their best players were incidentally playing for the Indigenous All Stars. But is it time to panic for Fremantle? Let's dive in. We'll break down the game. We'll get stuck into 5 talking points for us to have a discussion about. They include Bobby Hill, Jason Horne-Francis, Shai Bolton, Jesse Motlop, and Fremantle. Are they in trouble? Let's get stuck into it and run that intro. So the game was played under the bright lights of the magnificent Optus Oval, and the Dockers, they came out in a pre-season hit out, probably thinking that it was more entertainment, and they got absolutely run over. The Indigenous All Stars really did put on a show. Right from the opening bounce, the All Stars looked a little bit quicker, sharper, much more aggressive, and were definitely up for the task. They moved it absolutely beautifully, particularly around stoppage. A silky handball game, a lot of overlap run, a lot of electric pace, really carved Fremantle over and particularly spread them on the overlap. There was a handy 13-point lead at quarter time, and then the second quarter, the game was blown open. Bobby Hill was everywhere. He ended up with 4 goals for the night. Jason Horne-Francis proving he's a class above, slotting 3 and finding a bucket load of ball. And Jai Simkin, he looked back to his best, playing a more predominant on-ball role, winning the Polly Farmer medal. By half-time, the Dockers were staring in the barrel of defeat and things didn't get much better as the final siren sounded. A 43-point margin, 108 to the Indigenous All Stars, 65 to Fremantle, which will give Longmuir and the Dockers a lot to think about. But don't look at the scoreboard. These games, it was definitely an exhibition. I don't really feel like everyone was going hammer and tongs per se. They've got a proper scratch match between themselves before they play their second game. Personally, for me, I wouldn't read into this. I do want to put, though, I do feel like Fremantle were at a disadvantage playing this game when it would have been probably better to play this last week and then go into the pre-season community series and have this just on its own as a showcase. That's just me. Let me know what you think about that idea. So let's talk about Bobby Hill. We know he's a jet, and if this game proved anything, it really did showcase Collingwood need to get the ball into young Bobby Hill more. He showed it in his Premiership season, but this game reinforced just how deadly Bobby Hill is. 4 goals, all classy finishes, snaps, set shots, the evasion, everything. His movement is elite. Constantly making space, constantly making dummy leads, leading at the right time, but causing absolute chaos when the ball hit the deck. And he works up the ground as well. His link-up play was absolutely fantastic. And these two things are probably the biggest weakness for Collingwood last year. Their link-up play at times was very shoddy, but also it didn't feel like they got the ball in enough in the danger areas. And it felt at times it was a little bit melancholic in the middle of the park. If they clean that up, it just shows what Bobby Hill can do. This guy is a full-blown star. And in my opinion, he is the best small forward in the league. So, Pies fans, talk to me. What do you think? Bobby Hill, is he a game changer for you guys and girls? Do you feel like they need to get the ball in? Let's have a chat in the comments. Talking point number 2, and I've probably been a little bit harsh on this show on Jason Horne-Francis, but this guy, I've got to say, in the 2 years since he's been in the system, has gone from strength to strength. He is absolutely playing with power, confidence, but he's had the panache and he's also added the distribution. If Port Adelaide fans were probably in a little bit of a flux with all their pre-season talk, looking at Jason Horne-Francis in this game has to get them up and about. 3 goals, all from strong running, and 2 of them as well being real good team goals. elite clearance work. He looked literally a class above. Breaking tackles, diving through gaps, looking to make things very direct. And his defensive pressure was another level. He wasn't just hunting the ball, he was also hunting opponents and really dominated this midfield. And I felt like Jason King was good. In my opinion, I thought Jason Horne-Francis was the best on ground. And then when he went forward, he looked another level, showing glimpses of his brilliance, but also his ability to control a game. We are looking at a guy here. We're in a generational talent at the moment with Sheasel, Dacos and Jason Horne-Francis. We are truly blessed to see these three players because their leadership and their maturity is way beyond their years. He was dominant, and I think he could be one of the most dominant young midfielders in the competition, even senior ones. Port Adelaide's midfield is already quite solid, but Jason Horne-Francis makes it a nightmare. So Port Adelaide fans, are you excited? I've already penciled him in as an All-Australian. He reminds me of prime Dangerfield at the minute. Really excited about him. He was on managed minutes, but talking point number 3 is the great man himself, Shai Bolton, who definitely was the coup of the off-season, in my opinion. And although he didn't play in purple, his debut was in the yellow and orange of the Indigenous All Stars. He really did showcase in the managed minutes what Fremantle were lacking when you watched them in that game. His ability to link up with the midfield, his blistering pace, he's incredibly dangerous as well. He just draws people towards him. And that unpredictability really did stand out with how regimented Fremantle's forward entries look like. Something that Fremantle have lacked, in my opinion, under JL's leadership is kind of that unpredictability, that excitement factor. Once Bolton settles into the Fremantle side, he's going to be an absolute weapon for this club. And I am really excited about seeing him. So Fremantle fans, what did you take out of that game? Did you enjoy his game? It was very managed minutes, and I'm not saying he was the best on ground, but there was really, for me, in the limited amount of time he played, he really did showcase what he brings to your football club. Up next, Jesse Motlop kicked a snaggeroo, and he is one of them players that has been talked about way too much for my belief, for what he's actually outputted. But he did show a very good poacher's goal. He took his goal well, he made himself free, and that kind of excited me because that's something that the small forwards at Carlton football don't do. He did look really strong in and around the contest. He looked to make things happen. He did put a lot of pressure on as well. There was multiple turnovers just from his pressure-based game that really did make me excited. He poached that good goal as well, and he does look a lot bigger and stronger. Carlton got rid of Owies, a 30-plus goal kicker, and they put the faith in Durden, Zach Williams, who did feature as well on managed minutes and was very, very, very solid as a link man as well. But Motlop did look like that poacher-type player. This is the year they've put the faith in Jesse, and Jesse and Corey Durden have got to look at this and go, right, they've got rid of Owies, now is our time. And I'm really hoping it pays off. I'm a huge fan of Jesse Motlop. And this game just gave me a glimmer of excitement about what he's capable of, because I think he's got it. He's got it. He's just got to get it out and work out where he's left it over the last 2 years. Let's talk about Fremantle. Do we panic? Well, let's be honest, a 43-point loss in pre-season ain't exactly what you'd choose to do, is it? It's like having an option between going out with your wife for a wine or spending the weekend with your mother-in-law. You're choosing the other option, aren't you? But it's got to be said that there was a few outs for that side which were really noticeable, and obviously Shai Bolton, their premier player that they've brought in, was playing for the other team. But one thing that did really strike me as something that's maybe worth looking at was actually on the Indigenous All Stars, Michael Walters playing in the midfield. I really thought this gave them issues. He really did make them look a little bit abject, and it looked way too rigid. When Indigenous All Stars, because we didn't know what they were going to do, when they started flowing Simpkin, Bolton, JHF, Walters through that middle, they looked lost. And Sonny, as he's affectionately known, looked sharp. And that really excited me from a Fremantle point of view, because I feel like that gives Bolton more of a role in the forward line. And Walters can just be a little bit annoying and really be like kind of a nagging type player that you spurt through for 5 minutes for something different. Looking at Fremantle, though, I'm still confident with them. I think that this game was kind of like really, they were missing key players in the back line, some key forward creativity players. I'm not really worried about it. But one thing it did say that the depth at Fremantle probably isn't that big. And like all clubs, if they suffer from injuries, that's a problem. But Fremantle fans, let me know, what did you think? Are you panicking? I truly aren't. I just think it was an exhibition game, played in the best of spirits of the game, and there's a lot more to come, really. So that's your wrap then. Big pre-season, and a lot more questions we'll be asking. But to recap, Bobby Hill, sensational. Get the ball into him, Pies. Jason Horne-Francis, I was wrong. You are supreme. You are absolutely developed. Shai Bolton looks really exciting. Motlop, is he ready to explode? I feel like we've done this video 3 times with Jesse Motlop. Fremantle's midfield, does that need a bit of a rethink? Is there a little bit more creativity? Will JL add a little bit of excitement with all the talent he's got there? What do you reckon? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me what your biggest standout was. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't be shy. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and stick around for more pre-season content. It's free, it's fun. I'll be back later. Catch you on the next one. Pom out.